Coca-Cola went public in, I think it was 1919. And the first year, one share cost $40. The first year it went down a little over 50%. At the end of the year, it was down to $19. There were some problems with bottler contracts. There was problems with sugar, various kinds of problems. If you'd had perfect foresight, you would have seen the world's greatest depression staring you in the face when the social order even got questioned. You would have seen World War II. You would have seen atomic bombs and hydrogen bombs. You would have seen all kinds of things. And you could always find a reason to postpone why you should buy that share of Coca-Cola. But the important thing wasn't to see that. The important thing was to see that they were going to be selling 1 billion 8-ounce servings of beverages a day this year, or some large number. And that the person who could make people happy 1 billion times a day around the globe ought to make a few bucks off doing it. And so that $40, which went down to $19, I think with dividends reinvested has to be well over $5 million now. And if you develop the view on these other subjects that in any way forestalled you acting on this more important, specific, narrow view about the future of the company, you would have missed a great ride. So
we making moves. We making major moves. We making moves. We making major moves. We going all in like we got nothing to lose. We making moves. We making major moves.
What is up, everybody? I'm Mr. Man. Welcome back to my channel. I don't show charts in my videos, but today I figured I wanted to show it. I'm not going to try and do any technical analysis for anybody here. I'm still learning. But what we're looking at right now is XRP price on the daily here, and this is sitting at 49 cents right now. It is now 6:16 p.m. on April the 16th, and XRP is sitting at 49 cents. Let's check out the next one. And now we have Quant here. Quant is sitting at 103.44 on the daily as well. All right, let's jump into this. Finternet, the BIS vision that underpins the unified ledger tokenization push. This came out April 15th, 2024. This is what we are talking about today, and I will make the connections for you. There are still a lot of connections I haven't quite figured out yet because this is brand new. The term unified ledger has been out for some time now, but we're now able to put the pieces together of what a unified ledger potentially is. This is Augustine Carstens. He's the GM of the BIS, and this was put out by Ledger Insight. Today, the BIS published a vision paper, the Finternet, that provides the North Star for its concept of unified ledger based on tokenization. It notes that while digital identity, mobile, and payment systems have brought enormous benefits, there are too few of these innovations in the financial sector, because this is still new technology out in the financial sector. I am at the belief, I'm in the camp, that this was created specifically for the financial sector, because when you can manage the financial sector on an immutable blockchain such as this, anything to do with money, that's what this is made for. Any and everything to do with money. Large swaths of the financial system are stuck in the past, say the authors Augustine Carstens and Nadine Nilekani. Mr. Carsten is the head of the BIS, and Nicolani co-founded Infosys and led the government body that oversees India's digital identity framework. Here we have Interledger. That was me. I put this out a year ago now. This is Interledger protocol.
In our modern world, technology moves at light speed. But why has our financial infrastructure failed to keep up with the pace of change? The Interledger protocol was created to make sending money across the internet easy. We envisioned a payments network that acts as a bridge between anyone and the entire world. Today, when we send an email, we take it for granted that once we hit send, the email will appear in the recipient's inbox almost instantly. It doesn't matter if you're sending from one email provider to another. It works seamlessly in a matter of seconds, not days. The Interledger protocol is designed so you can send money as easily as you can send an email. It's a network that reflects our interconnected world. Accessible to all, regardless of identity, geography, or income. One that's more inclusive, without minimum transaction amounts or costly transfer fees. The closed networks of the past keep people disconnected. Our mission is to bring our financial infrastructure into the 21st century and give everyone equal access to a global financial network. Email your digital bank or digital wallet provider and ask them to consider joining us to help make the world a more interconnected place. Visit interledger.org/today to learn more.
So that's Interledger in a nutshell. So now let's hear a conversation with Evan Schwartz, the co-creator of Interledger. Ripple had gifted Interledger to the W3C, the worldwide consortium, to use as a protocol. And that protocol moves packets of data and information, which is then, translated into value, which is money. So you can utilize the streaming. You know what? I'll let Evan Schwartz describe it for you, okay? Here he is.
Hello, my name is Evan. I work at Ripple on the Interledger protocol. I'm going to go through. Today I'm going to be talking very quickly about Interledger and streaming payments. So I'm the co-inventor of Interledger. I've been working on it full-time for the past 3 years. So the problem that we want to solve is today if you tried to go and actually use cryptocurrency for anything, you would have a situation like this. You walk into a grocery store, you say, hey, do you accept Ether? And they would say, what is that? No, sorry. And the fundamental problem is that all of these different payment networks are disconnected. You can't use any type of cryptocurrency today for payments because you need the other person to actually accept that cryptocurrency. Blockchains don't solve the interoperability problem by themselves. Blockchains are individual networks that have the same problems as traditional ones where they're all disconnected. What we need is a system for internetworking payment networks. And so this term internetworking comes from the internet. That's what it's named after. And at its core, the internet is all about routing little packets of data across independent networks. So what we need is a system for routing packets of money across independent payment networks. So what that would enable is me to pay you even if I have some kind of super obscure cryptocurrency and you just want dollars or whatever you want. So what Interledger does is it routes packets of money very similarly to how the internet routes packets of data. I won't get into too much of how that works, but I want to walk through some of the cool things that this lets you do. So when we're applying this analogy with the internet, one of the things we get to is this idea of streaming payments. So if you broke up payments into little tiny chunks and could route these packets super efficiently, what you could end up with is this idea of streaming payments. So one of the things that could look like is, oh, you need to send a bigger payment? Okay, it depends on your payment bandwidth, which is a weird concept that we work with a lot, where that would be measured in dollars per second that you can send, or whatever currency you have. Some of the cool use cases that come out of this, things like streaming media. So today payments are super inefficient and clunky, and so we prefer, things like monthly subscriptions. I pay my $10 a month because I don't want to be bothered by this. If you made the payments super efficient and could do it on a very small basis, you could do things like paying for a second of video. So you're streaming me video, I'm streaming you money, and if I pause the video, I stop paying for it. If I walk away, I stop. If I come back and hit play again, keep streaming money because it would be that efficient. Another cool thing that comes out of this is the idea of sign-up list services. Today in the physical world, when you walk into a shop and you want to have some financial exchange, the exchange normally goes, I give you money, you give me good or service, and I walk out. I don't need an account, I don't need to sign up, things like that. Today on the internet, you always need to sign up for accounts because there's no way to do this very seamless, here's a little bit of money, you give me a little bit of service, rinse and repeat. As a business, if you're giving me hosting services or something like that, you don't need to know who I am, you just need the money. And so with something like Interledger, you'd enable anybody to land money in your account, even if they're on some completely different payment network. So that would enable sign-up list services. Another neat idea we've been playing with is the idea of a creative marketplace license. So the idea here is, today we have Creative Commons license, which is awesome. If you want to give away your work, it's a really, really great project. One of the issues with Creative Commons is there's no way to have a license that's as easy to use where you can actually monetize your work. So the idea here is with something like Interledger, you could actually have a license that says anybody can use this content, feel free to, but for every download or view or whatever kind of interaction you want to monetize, just pay me at this address. And the thing that's really missing today in order to do this is the assumption that just anybody could pay you. Because there's no interoperability and because we don't have internetworking for payments, if you did this kind of license, you'd be like, okay, anybody that has Bitcoin can now pay me, which is a tiny subset of everybody. The thing that makes the internet work is that everybody can access it, quality. Last kind of fun thing to throw out there is if you connect every type of currency and payment network together, what you can enable is payments from weird currencies. So today you use dollars because everyone else accepts dollars here. If everything's connected, you could pay with stocks, community currency, local currency, crypto, whatever you prefer. So I'll leave you with 3 questions to consider. Number 1, which ledgers will be the most attractive when everything is connected together? What kind of features would you want? Number 2, will interoperability bolster or kill app-specific tokens? And number 3, what new businesses can you create with streaming payments?
So we have somewhat of an understanding now of what an interledger is. Like the internet, it's an interledger now. So looking at Finternet here, the Finternet, right? Sound it out. Financial internet. BIS, what a Finternet could look like with a unified ledger. Advances in digital technology have transformed people's lives in recent decades, but large swatches of the financial system are stuck in the past. Many transactions will take days to complete and rely on time-consuming clearing, messaging, and settlement systems and physical paper trails. Improving the function of the financial system is thus an important public policy objective. But building a financial system fit for the future requires a vision for what we want to achieve. In a recent paper, General Manager of the BIS, Augustine Karchin, they described the economic rationale for the Finternet as well as its required technical, regulatory, and legal building blocks. In addition, they lay out 8 fundamental design considerations that we feel should be core part of the future financial system. Findings identify 3 necessary components: an efficient economic and financial architecture, the application of cutting-edge digital technology, and a robust legal and governance framework. Unified ledgers are a promising vehicle to deliver on all 3 in particular. By bringing together multiple financial assets in a similar venue, they could vastly reduce the need for lengthy messaging and clearing processes, thereby delivering more efficient and reliable services for the future. Let's dive into Quant now. I gave you the price of Quant already. Let's dive into Quant.
Blockchain is spurring a revolution in the way we create, record, and trade value. Its benefits, security, transparency, efficiency, can be applied to areas as diverse as payments, capital markets, and supply chains. That's why assets of all kinds are being tokenized on blockchains, making their ownership immutable, their provenance traceable, and their use manageable. The potential is enormous, but every blockchain is complex and creates a different walled garden of connections and functionality. Today, the decentralized world of blockchain is made up of closed environments, limiting liquidity and leading to increased risk and lost opportunity. Every digital asset must be created specifically for each chain, demanding dedicated developer skills, which are hard to find, time-consuming to master, and expensive to develop. Overledger Platform from Quant establishes a new benchmark for blockchain interoperability and ease of use. As a low-code enterprise-grade platform, Overledger empowers you to deploy, connect, and develop on any blockchain quickly and simply. With Overledger, you can generate an interoperable digital asset with just a few clicks, create secure smart contracts that can execute on any blockchain without having to hire a team of experts. And you can use its advanced APIs to integrate with your systems and manage your assets on multiple chains. We believe that the blockchain economy should be simple, trusted, and future-proof. These are our principles and the genesis of Overledger Platform, the enterprise standard for building on blockchain.
Beautiful. So we have now an understanding of what Overledger is, a high level, but actually a very, very low level, very, very low level. So I'm going to go into another video here, just like I did with ILP. I showed you the cartoony and then I got Evan Schwartz to break it down a bit further. I showed you the cartoony of Quant now, the and now it's time to get deep into this, and let's hear what Overledger is all about.
The current form of money that we have today is obsolete. We've been using the same system for centuries. What we need is a new form of money that is fit for the future.
We believe that blockchain technology is the future of finance, bringing trust and transparency to any transaction. In payments, its programmability allows banks and payment firms to innovate for their customers. While in capital markets, tokenization of all kinds of asset classes is connecting issuers to deep pools of entirely new investors.
The impact of blockchain to finance is actually just as big as the impact of the internet to society. It really is transformative and changing the entire underlying architecture and the infrastructure of what we use today. Blockchain allows us to have smart money. Smart money allows us to program new types of logic, new types of functionality into money to do things that is really fit for purpose for the 21st century.
But there's a problem. Blockchain is often costly and complex to implement properly, and most enterprises lack the specialist knowledge required.
Each of the blockchain technologies is really complicated, and it's quite a niche skill, right? They were only invented a few years ago. There's not millions of developers that know this.
It's a new nascent technology that's hugely transformative, but difficult to integrate and difficult to bring into any financial institution.
Its usefulness is undermined by a lack of common standards, the inability of assets deployed on one blockchain to run on another, and the fact that bridges between networks and poorly written smart contracts can be exploited.
I founded Quant with the vision of really changing the entire architecture of our financial system. The pain points that everyone faced with blockchain technology was a barrier to its adoption. And so we set out very early on to remove all the friction, change all the perceptions of blockchain, and make it easy to integrate into any corporate or enterprise system.
Until now, we've been applying our expertise in standards, interoperability, and secure smart contracts to a few transformational projects. We've worked on national infrastructure in Italy, a cross-border payments network in Latin America, and most recently on Project Rosalind.
Project Rosalind is our collaboration with the Bank of England and the Bank of International Settlement to understand and test with the industry what a retail central bank digital currency looks like.
On the infrastructure side, we hosted the blockchain. We built the smart contracts. We exposed the smart contracts to a kind of a back-end API. So there's the technical work. And we're also involved in kind of building the requirements, right? So we spent a lot of time in workshops with all of the other folks in the project, building out how should this work. So there's a lot of detail in that. So in terms of participation, we put a lot of expertise into the project. We put a lot of experience into the project, and then we did all the technical work as well.
What we learned was there's a way we can make money, a digital pound, for example, smart. We saw firsthand participants like the Central Bank of Canada, Amazon, Barclays, MasterCard use this innovative escrow technology that we built to create new types of payments and new types of flows.
We're proud to announce that the same interoperable technology, the same expertise in blockchain and secure smart contracts, the same commitment to security and resilience that has underpinned all of our work to date is now available to anyone with the launch of Overledger Platform.
We're launching Overledger Platform as the enterprise standard for building on blockchain. We've taken all the experience and work that we've done for the Bank of England, Bank of International Settlement, and opened that up for the rest of the industry to use.
By using Overledger between their technology and the blockchains, they've got a standardized API layer that translates all of the messages that are needed, which means that people can build faster, they can build more securely, they can build without hiring external developers, they can use their existing in-house developers. And not only that, they can connect their existing technologies. So rather than building a whole new platform, take the platform you've got and build a blockchain module for it using Overledger. You could get to market 3, 6, 9 times faster depending on your use case.
Blockchain projects need this kind of technology. It makes the projects faster, it makes them cheaper, and it makes them last a lot longer once they're built. So Overledger platform is just a massive enabler.
Overledger is a game changer because it allows people to connect to blockchains without knowing anything about them. We have all of our APIs in a business language, so you don't have to have any expertise in blockchain to be able to connect to them. It just makes it super easy and super simple.
It's our way of creating mass adoption of the technology. It's an enterprise way to access this new innovative technology without having all the friction and the barriers and the challenges that come with it.
Overledger platform is simple, trusted, and future-proof. It's available today from our website.
So here we are. The project Gilbert Verdine was just talking about. Quant collaborates with BIS and the Bank of England on Project Rosalind. We have Quant HSBC. This one just came out as well a few days ago. HSBC R3 Visa among 13 other chosen by UK Finance to join next prototype phase. This came out on the 16th, today. Okay. Was that today? I guess so. It had to have been. Unless it was just when the Digital Pound Foundation published it for themselves. And then we have here also DPF, Digital Pound Foundation, with Ripple as well. And one of the things I had asked, because I've been following these collaborations for a while and trying to put the pieces together, there's more to this, which I'm going to take you through once I'll take you through. So here, I had some questions I needed answered. So I asked them. The Interledger protocol is a unified protocol that enables payment across different payment systems and ledger. Key points about the Interledger protocol: it's an open source protocol that connects different payment networks to each other, allowing for seamless and interoperable value exchange. It enables secure transfers between ledgers and allows anyone with accounts on 2 ledgers to make payments even if the sender's currency is different from their receiver's. It does not, that's like what Evan Schwartz was talking about there. I want to send Bitcoin, you want to receive something else, all right? You're receiving something different than I'm sending. It does not move money directly, but rather uses a series of escrow payments transferred to bridge different payment networks. The protocol is not a blockchain, a token, or centralized service, but rather a standard for enabling interoperability between diverse financial systems. It is designed to promote an equitable web by connecting different payment networks in a decentralized manner. So again, here's a bit more about Interledger now, just to give you a better understanding and a better idea of the concept of what is taking place here.
So we try to be very clear that we are a private software company, and the solutions that we developed incorporate the capabilities of these open source softwares. Specifically, there are 2 technologies that we really focus on. One is called Interledger Protocol, and the second one is called XRP Ledger. Basically, the former is kind of like the blockchain technology. The latter is more of like a digital asset, like a crypto asset. And from our perspective, it's not possible for us to succeed to the extent that we can, which would be this kind of ubiquitous Internet of Value, as a private company, if the software that we're using is strictly proprietary. You really need something like the equivalent of Internet Protocol, which means that when we go to these financial institutions and we're selling our software to them, the fundamental software that's powering it and the fundamental capabilities that are really unique, that make our software unique, that is open source, which means that if a big swath of the market decides to use Ripple software, but another swath of the market decides to use software from a bunch of different providers, that's okay because it's interoperable. It'd be like the idea of if Google was using one internet protocol and Facebook was using another internet protocol, so you as a consumer would need to sign up for 2 internets, that's a big pain. That's something that you want to avoid. So it's this idea of like, not just network effects, but a network of network effects, that Ripple's success should lead to the success of other companies that want to kind of contribute to the development of this ecosystem.
So there's that word again, huh? Swath. Don't hear it much, and then all of a sudden you start to hear things now. Swath. So upon continuing to ask and drill down to get to my answers, because it's like you're having a conversation with artificial intelligence, I was able to come to some conclusions here. So based on my their search results, the Interledger protocol and Overledger appear to be complementary technologies that could potentially work together to further enhance blockchain interoperability. Interoperability capabilities, ILP, Interledger Protocol, focuses on enabling payments and value transfer across different payment ledgers and networks. Overledger aims to connect not just blockchains, but also legacy systems and network. Architectural differences, Interledger Protocol operates as a protocol that facilitates cross-ledger transactions using connectors and cryptographic escrow. Overledger is described as an enterprise operating system that sits on top of various blockchains and legacy system, providing a unified interface. Potential synergies, ILP's payments interoperability capabilities could potentially complement Overledger's broader interoperability across diverse networks and systems. Integrating ILP's protocol-level interoperability with Overledger's multi-layered architecture could further expand the reach and functionality of both technologies. So in summary, while ILP and Overledger have distinct focuses, they appear to be complementary technologies that could potentially work together to enhance overall blockchain and financial system interoperability. All this maxi nonsense needs to stop. It's only one crypto to rule it all. That's complete fallacy. That's not the kind of stuff I'm trying to push on the channel here. There are many blockchains working together, okay? The combination of ILP's payment-focused interoperability and Overledger's broader cross-network connectivity could lead to more comprehensive and powerful interoperability solutions. So here we have the BIS working paper, number 1178. Finternet, the financial system for the future, Monetary and Economic Department. This came out April 2024. We had seen the press releases for those today. We'll check out what the table of contents has to state here. Maybe they don't have it. The abstract, this paper lays out a vision for the Finternet, multiple financial ecosystems interconnected with each other, which much like the internet, designed to empower individuals and businesses by placing them at the center of their financial lives. It advocates for a user-centric approach that lowers barriers between financial services and systems, thus promoting access for all. The envisioned systems leverages innovative technologies such as tokenization and unified ledgers, underpinned by a robust economic and regulatory framework to dramatically expand the range and quality of financial services. This integration aims to foster greater participation, offer more personalized services, and improve speed and reliability, all while reducing costs for end users. That's the you and me of the world. Most of the technology needed to achieve this vision exists and is fast improving, driven by efforts around the world. This paper provides a blueprint for how key technical characteristics like security and privacy can be incorporated and how varied governance norms can be embedded. Delivering this vision requires proactive collaboration between public authorities and private sector institutions. I can't wait to see the proof of concepts on this, man. These are going to be great. When you see the countries start to, this is going to be great. This would pave the way for user-centric, unified, and universal financial ecosystem brought into the digital era that is inclusive, innovative, participatory, accessible, and affordable, and leaves no one behind. This is the concept of what the unified ledger could look like, or a unified ledger to that point. The shared private ledger. Okay, I want you guys to hear this, okay? You make your own discernment on it. I'm just going to keep showing you these things, that's all. So we're still talking about a unified ledger, right? A unified ledger does not imply a single ledger. This is what I had put out yesterday. However, I'm aware of one that can fit into this architecture. A shared ledger. All right, remember that word we're talking about there. Shared ledger. Back to the BIS. A shared ledger. Shared, and shared ledger. Unified ledgers. We're talking about all these things, whatever you want to call it, okay? A shared ledger integrates digital money forms, maintaining money singleness by ensuring consistent trading, final settlement, and programmable transfers. Crucial for money to effectively coordinate the economy as a single, unambiguous unit of account. The XRPL acts as a global shared ledger. Chris Larson states it himself. So we're going to hear Cecilia Skingsley speak first, and she's going to introduce Hyun Song Shin into conversation there, and he is now going to be discussing what a unified ledger would look like. And then the video that follows this immediately is Chris Larson speaking back in 2019, I want to say, between 2019 and 2020, and he's speaking about the shared ledger. Okay, let's hear this.
For banks and also our private sector partners. Let me now hand over to Hyun, who will explain the project's conceptual underpinnings in more detail.
Thank you, Cecilia. Let me give some further background on the rationale and design of the project. An important guiding principle for us is the singleness of money. This is the idea that a payment should go through exactly at par, irrespective of the means of payment used, whether I use cash, an electronic transfer from my bank, or a payment app on my phone. A dollar is a dollar, a euro is a euro, a pound is a pound, and so on. We're so used to the singleness of money that we take it for granted, but it's worth reminding ourselves that it holds because of the settlement function of the central bank. Today, when I receive a payment from someone, I don't acquire a claim on the sender's bank. Instead, it is my bank which credits my account. And my bank can do this because the payment is settled at the central bank, where the central bank debits the account of the sender's bank and credits the account of my bank. And this is very different from the case of a stablecoin, where balances are always tagged with the name of the issuer, and singleness of money is not guaranteed. For this reason, we argued in last year's BIS annual economic report that tokenized deposits should play the role of the primary means of payment on a unified ledger, underpinned by settlement in central bank money as the backbone of the monetary system. This is why in Agora, central banks are joining forces with regulated financial institutions to bring tokenized deposits and tokenized central bank money together on the same programmable platform. Now, we need tokenized deposits there because firms and households deal with private financial institutions, not with central banks. But we need central bank money there because it holds the monetary system together through its settlement function. The same principles apply for cross-border payments as they do for domestic payments. Today, firms engaged in international trade and investment rely on regulated financial institutions to perform the bookkeeping operations all along the chain of payments, as well as the ultimate settlement by the central bank that issues the currency used for the payment.
So we try to focus on that, and probably the key aspects of what Ripple is it's one multi-currency, so you can use Bitcoin in the Ripple payment system. So hopefully that helps the utility of Bitcoin and Litecoin and Ben and all kinds of different currencies that you can put in the system. We have a different method of solving the double spend problem, which we call consensus. So picture is a global shared ledger with a process of consensus. And what that allows confirmation of transactions quickly. And then probably the final difference is because we don't have mining as part of our authorization method, we can give away large amounts of ripples. And why do we do that? Well, we think all these currencies are about three things: trust, utility, and liquidity. Trust really is the math-based idea behind it for Bitcoin and Ripple and simple authority. Utility is all about payments, how easy is it to do, Can you accept payment in your preferred currency, speed, all of those key issues. And then liquidity, of course, is the final one, which comes from really adoption, wide adoption by hopefully everybody on the world on these new ideas. And also things like what we try to build in, which is a distributed currency exchange. So distributed currency is built right into the protocol. So I'll stop there. Happy to answer any questions, of course, as we go forward.
So now we have evidence that Chris Larson was talking about shared ledger through Ripple. We have the BIS here discussing shared ledger. We have partnerships with Digital Pound Foundation from Quant, from Ripple. We have partnerships with Digital Euro Association from Quant, from Ripple. We have these individuals using the common languages here. Let's continue into what this unified ledger is. This Finternet is Project Agora, okay? Project Agora is the Finternet. Let me not just speed past here, because right here, this is the unified ledger portion of it now. The unified interledger protocol, right? We had gone over this interledger protocol right here with Evan Schwartz for the unified ledger. Let's continue on. So we heard there's going to be some interesting use cases to come about with this new form of money here. We heard Evan Schwartz discuss that. We've heard Gilbert Verdian discuss that. While unified ledgers could in principle contain any financial asset, tokenized money is a core requirement. We've heard that now from Hyun Song Shin as well. Money provides the basic unit of account to denominate transactions, and as the means of payment, it represents one side of almost all financial transactions. As in today's financial system, the monetary system and the unified ledger system would have two tiers. Central bank money would represent the first tier, and commercial bank money the second tier. We heard with Interledger, they're moving wholesale money, or different, I guess just money in general. But you heard with Overledger there, they were talking about working with the commercial banks and the central banks here. So settlement of commercial banks accounts on the central bank balance sheet is the ultimate guarantee of finality of any financial transaction, of any, right? Guaranteed of finality of any financial transaction. As such, wholesale central bank money is a necessary foundation of any unified ledger. So just to show you what I mean in terms of regulations and adhering to regulations, any in this context here is the same as saying must. You must adhere to this. You must be able to do this. Let me show you this. So it expresses necessity, obligation, or compulsion, something that is required or necessary, as stated in the Britannica dictionary definition. Must is used to say that something is required or necessary. It indicates a mandatory requirement as opposed to something optional or discretionary. The Federal Employment Law Training Group article states that the only word of obligation from the list of shall, will, may, must is must, and therefore the only term connoting strict prohibition is must not. So there's the pro, you must, and then there's the opposite side of that, the must not. That's the adverse to this. That's the two ends of the spectrum. You must or you must not. All right, period. It denotes firm legal obligation in contrast to most ambiguous terms like shall, which is open and loose, which can be interpreted in different ways. The article advises using must instead of shall when wanting to create a mandatory requirement in a legal document. So here is just a bit further down, security settlement in today's financial system. That's how it looks, today's financial system. And now bank settlement in today's financial system. And here's asset transfers on a unified ledger. I can't describe these things yet because the concept is still too new to me, but I'll get there. I will get there. So some of the take-homes from this experiment, or this soon-to-be experiment, or I guess it is an experiment already, actually. So use cases of unified ledgers and tokenization. Many interesting real-world applications involve the tokenization of assets. These range from financial securities to real assets such as commodities, or real estate. This box serves to spark the imagination on how unified ledgers could be used in the real world. There's investments and government bonds, there's access to credit, there's insurance, cross-border payments. So if you recall, I want to say last video, we had gone over fast payments, faster payment systems and the connectivity of them through Project Nexus. This appears to be the underlying layer, it's the unified ledger. It is I want to say layer 0, if you will. Then you have the other projects built on top of it in terms of use cases for this unified ledger. So it says faster payments are now available to households and businesses in around 119 jurisdictions. In others, authorities plan to implement faster payment systems in the coming years. The success of FPSs in terms of adoption and usage varies across jurisdictions, as does the role of central banks, which can be a catalyst, overseer, or operator. Recent experiences suggest that certain design features of FPSs are particularly important to spur users' uptake. Thailand's Prompt Pay, which we had done Prompt Pay and Pay Now, between Singapore and Thailand, I believe it was. India's Unified Payment System, UPI, and Brazil's PIX are 3 examples. They have also facilitated private sector innovation and the entity of new payment service providers. These FPSs share a number of features: user-centric design with a number of use cases, a robust infrastructure for settlement, a rule book for participation, for example, mandatory participation of large banks, and a framework for governance that includes a strong role for the public sector, in particular, the central bank. In addition, these faster payment systems include open application programming interface, or APIs, and aliases, for example, mobile phone numbers, just like that. You get your phone, I thought I had mine here, I guess I do. You can boop, 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 and send them money. Right, the same way you send an email, boop, 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 send an email. They have their email, mrman@gmail.com, send Mr. Man an email. Right, you have their number now tied to their digital identity, so that number is tied to that individual. Mr. Man's number is 555, number, you can send to Mr. Man money right from my cell phone number, right from yours to my cell phone number. Notably, to initiate transactions and low transaction costs. Notably, both UPI and PIX allow room for private sector participation. In fact, UPI payments developed by the Reserve Bank of India, or RBI, only took off when third-party application providers, now dormant, were allowed to connect in 2018. The private sector played a crucial role in bringing UPI to the financially excluded through innovations such as all-in-one quick response, or QR, codes, and audio-based payments confirmation. That's cool. Targeted at small merchants in areas with poor internet connectivity. PIX has also encouraged private sector innovation by adopting standardized APIs specified by the Central Bank of Brazil. Okay. Which enables merchants to integrate PIX payments into their online shopping experience through QR codes. Additionally, innovators leveraged PIX QR codes to pay for tools and gain access to private buildings. These examples highlight the importance of having both regulatory oversight and private sector participation in achieving public policy goals. So you hear everything here talking about connectivity and regulations and adhering to framework. And we discussed the word must. Bitcoin adheres to none of these things. Bitcoin is, I guess, slowly, depending who you are, if you're following the crypto world or not, but it's quickly becoming what is now known as a store, not now, no, but what is known as a store of value. Back in the day, Bitcoin was not a store of value. It was a medium of exchange. It was a unit of account, and they called it a store of value, but it stored no value because it had wild fluctuations. A store of value was something like a dollar, the dollar bill. You look at it, it's a dollar bill. Next day you wake up, it's a dollar bill. 5 years later, it's a dollar bill. The intrinsic value might have decreased, but it's still a dollar. Right? It's still a dollar. Bitcoin fluctuates. 1 sat is not the same value of 1 sat. Right? It changes from minute to minute, hour to hour, day to day, week to week. Whatever. All right. You can fight it all you want, but again, we also heard that Bitcoin can be used within the Interledger protocol. XRP can convert to convert inside the Interledger protocol and on the XRPL, convert to Bitcoin if needed for whatever reason. As Evan Schwartz said, it can convert or FX swap to whatever obscure currency there is. As long as there's a pair for that, an adjacent pair for it, then you can swap it to that. I mean, there are going to be some new exotic currencies coming out, and there are, like the Palau stablecoin, which we had discussed as well. That one is exotic. That one has a treasury of U.S. currencies in it, cash and other bonds and currencies. Not currencies, but treasuries, treasuries held in custody to give this value of the PSC to the stablecoin. There is one other thing I want to show you guys here, and this is what's coming down the pipeline. New and obscure ways that money can be utilized. Let me show you some obscure ways that money can be utilized. Let me not forget the design principles. There's 8 of them. User at the center. Principle number 2 is interoperability. Principle number 3 is evolvability. Principle 4 is modularity. Principle number 5 is scalability. Principle number 6, division of labor and competition. Principle 7, inclusiveness and accessibility. And principle number 8 is security and privacy. So here we go. This conversation just, wow, it wowed me, right? I didn't expect this at all. This is a conversation with the IMF, the IOE, and a few other high-level individuals. Listen to what's coming down the pipeline. This already exists. They're doing experiments with this already, real live experiments. So this is just on the way coming down the pipeline. These individuals are what is known as pacemakers. They set the pace of where our life is headed. Listen to what this individual has to say. You will be...
I'm going to share one last project really quickly, kind of captured how we can understand this future kind of applicability in terms of technology. And so we wanted to understand kind of how our economy will be moving towards the future. And this is a project looking through the lens of a non-human lens through plants. So this is Herbie. Herbie is our autonomous plant. And Herbie, autonomy for us means that Herbie has a certain level of decision-making capabilities. So Herbie can, for example, have all sorts of sensors. When the water sensor is low, Herbie will go and fetch water. When the light sensor is low, Herbie will go into a place with light. And so with this, Herbie can make certain decisions of, how it navigates itself. But we didn't stop there. We thought about, like, what if Herbie is a tomato plant and Herbie can come to you and ask you, whether you want to buy Herbie's own tomato. Questioning, also putting into a question in us humans, what if plants can own themselves? And so if Herbie can own its own plant and can sell its own tomatoes, and we say yes, we start buying from Herbie. Herbie now can earn money. Herbie might need a bank account. Herbie might, with all the monies saved, could invest, could maintain itself, and so on and so forth. The whole entire exercise is trying to, ask the question, can non-human participate in our human-centric economy? And the thesis we're trying to understand is that if they have economic rights, can then they prioritize themselves from their own perspective? And so this was the project to kind of get us understanding how we can think through from their viewpoints. We built a whole entire army of plants. We converted all of the sensor reading of Herbie into a visualization. So what you're seeing on the right is actually a health status of the plant itself. And so the soil moisture sensor would give us the height, give us the soil moisture reading. The color of the leaves will give us the light sensor reading, and so on and so forth. And so we created a whole bunch of these trees that we can visualize. We converted them into NF trees. We sold these NF trees on a carbon neutral blockchain, and all of the proceeds go into the wallet that we have set up for Herbie. So Herbie, I think, is one of the wealthiest plant that I know on the planet, has about $2,000. And right now we're trying to understand if we can create a plant-based company. So we're creating a DAO. And basically, a DAO is a blockchain, a distributed autonomous organization. Think about a company that is being governed by algorithms. And in this case, the algorithms are being governed by the plants themselves. So it's a plant-based company, literally, where the plant can decide how this money could be spent. So, for example, if the water level is consistently low, Herbie and friends can decide to spend the money in investing in a water company. And so we continue to develop this. We created visualizations of these in augmented reality mode. You can plant these trees. People can buy these NF trees and understand their state. Here, there's a screenshot of how the sensors readings are revealed to the buyer. And we're extending this and trying to understand other ecosystem, like using sensor readings of the sea and water and coral reefs to map out NFCs. Again, using the same mechanism to allow seas to have ownership of themselves and to participate in our human-centered economy. Likewise with the bees. And so we call this all of this entire project. Oh, let me go back a little anecdote. Is that Herbie and I gave a talk at TEDx. I'm really, really proud. I believe it's the first non-human plant speaker at TEDx. I could be wrong, but I need to validate that. Herbie also got to meet Spot, the dynamic dogs. There's a little, love at first sight. Maybe the future development of Herbie 2.0 could have, quadrupeds technology. It can walk around. We're also developing a chat GPT. We call it Herbie GPT. So think about, instead of using, human language as a large language models, we're using biochemical signals within the plant as a way to communicate. And so we're continuing with this project. If you think this is a little far-fetched, people and other scientists are already working on plant GPT and likewise animal GPT as well. And so this is definitely a technology that is being developed by many others. And so the reason why I'm bringing all of this is because I think there is a momentum to talk about kind of a non-human perspective. And one of the perspectives is through the lens of this economic lens and introducing kind of this concept of interspecies economy. Us humans, we're very much used to kind of when we talk about, startups and companies, we're very used to talking about, business to business, business to consumers. And very soon we're going to have a new participants. I give the example of a plant, but it could very easily be a machine. And this new concept of what's called the machine to machine economy, right? And so basically the future and the evolution of e-commerce could potentially go to what we're calling a-commerce, which is autonomous commerce, where you have this kind of foundation of M2M, the machine economy, where you have these machines that are connected to each other, that could exchange with each other, that they're capable of making transactions as autonomous market participants, where humans have very little interventions, right? So a quick example of this would be, let's say I have an autonomous car and you have an autonomous car, and they can talk to each other. And if we're stuck in a traffic jam, my car could actually negotiate with your car and say, hey, let me give you $10, you move over so I can move forward. This is a silly example, but the idea here is that machines in the future will be able to make transactions on their own for their own benefit, but as well as for the benefit of the humans. And so we have seen e-commerce being disrupted before, and we will see e-commerce disrupted in the same way. And everything that we have dealt with before, payments, buyers, sellers, so on and so forth, will be disrupted. So the question is, how can we prepare ourselves for that particular future that is coming? So I'll give you a concrete kind of imagination, speculative, possible future of how these agents can operate in the future. We call these digital souls. So digital souls, you can think of them as digital twins. And if you're not familiar with the terms digital twins, they're basically just a replica of an entity, a physical world entity into a digital space. And so here we're specifically talking about humans. And so imagine that there is a digital copy of Cece in the virtual space. And we call them digital souls. And imagine in the future that these digital souls, and we wrote an article in a magazine that we have written, but I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. So in these digital souls, you can imagine that each of them have a special function, right? Let's say that I have a health twin where it understands my preferences, my fitness, my health data. It has a memory that remembers my habits, my workouts, my diet history. But then it also have what we're calling transactionability. It can purchase medicines for me, navigate the health membership space, and even go and make appointments for me at my doctor, right? So every one of these twins, I could have a CO twin that could go out and project holographic display of me and talk for me in events. It could attend meetings, and this is already happening in the current space, in the current context as we're speaking. And so all of these different digital souls could actually go out there and be extended clones of ourselves. They could be making money, they could be transactioning, they could be, having conversations with other people for us, and then come back to us and report to us at the end of the day. And so this is one of the ideas that we're developing, and what would happen in the future if this were to be true. And some of the, every single exercise that we do when we doing futuring is that we think about the positive consequences as well as the negative consequences. Right? So these are, a couple of different digital twins that I've mentioned. So every one of these exercises we do is a rehearsal for the future, right? So coming back into the space, when we talked about opportunities and threats, we need to understand the potential that these imaginations and these future products could bring, but we should also think about what potential negative consequences that could affect us. And so I'm going to jump into the methodologies that we use.
Astounding. I bet you weren't ready for that. I hope you guys found value in this one. I'm gonna come off this one, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank ya. Peace.
We making moves. We making major moves. We making moves.